Welcome back to a decorated version of CHP Sports with Kenny to my left and Anthony. That's me. Kenny, how you doing this week? You're looking very festive over there.
Yeah, we got the trees up. We have remnants of Thanksgiving dinner behind me. Um, yeah, it's happening. My wife's month to shine is upon us. This is her month, so
There you
it's
go. So we can see I'm back in my basement for a day because unfortunately I was exposed to COVID over the holiday break. Um, yeah, I have tested. I'm sorry, I've tested negative. My wife has tested negative. She we picked up something because
yeah.
she's sick. My dad was sick, but he had tested negative as well. So I think it's just a cold. But yeah, somehow someone in the family did get COVID, and yeah, I think it was they had made the mistake of trying to help people and volunteered at like a soup kitchen or something. And we think that everyone was wearing masks, but I'm guessing that's where they got it from. And I am shocked I do not have it from seeing them, but apparently, fingers crossed, I don't seem to. But out of precaution, took the day at home. Uh, did all my lectures from home today, so we should be back at it tomorrow. Normal
This
schedule.
this time of year is tough too because it's like the weather changes every day. There is just like regular colds floating around too, So it's like it's so tough.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, wait, you're like monitoring your symptoms. You're like, wait, do I feel fatigued? Well, I'm sick. Of
Yeah,
course, I feel
yeah.
fatigued. Like,
That's what was always so. It's like, are you tired? Yes. Do you have a runny nose? Yes. And I'm like, this is like every illness ever, right? Um, I feel like the smell and taste thing is probably a big one. But then I'm like, I've had the, I've had other things where it's not gone, but you just don't have an appetite or
yeah,
the things don't taste right. They taste different, right, when you get
yeah,
sick.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, well, I told you we had that scare with our son. He was sick, but he got tested for everything. They just said he had a cold or a virus and turned into an ear infection. Fun things as a parent. 104 fever spikes, and then you're like, what is happening?
Jesus,
And then they're testing for not only COVID, but it's flu and RSV and all this other stuff. But he
yeah,
was okay, so he's good. We got him on the right
it's good,
drugs and or antibiotics, I should say. And,
good.
he's doing good. But yeah, speaking of sickness, um,
Oh God,
should we open up with Ohio State, Michigan?
Jesus. I mean, so obviously, I have this on. Not even I wasn't even planned. I realized like 2 minutes before we started recording, before I set the call up with you, I was like, you know what, I should just leave it on. It's such a disaster what happened this weekend. So as an Ohio State fan that's watched most of their games this year, I will say this: we haven't been able to stop the run all year, and our secondary has been suspect all year. So the fact that they were able to run against us and you know pass the ball, sort of off play action against us isn't all that surprising. I combine that with the weather in our offense not, I guess, playing up to what people thought it could play up to. I mean, this is a case where I think people got, by people I don't mean people here in Columbus. I think everyone in Columbus knew our defense was kind of suspect, but the national media would be like, you see the glitz of our offense and go, oh, that the offense can bail them out of anything. Well, you throw us in a cold day, we still threw for basically 400 yards and what, 4 or 5 touchdowns. I don't remember what the final score was. I think we have 4 touchdowns.
Yeah,
So the offense still put
27, I
up.
think. Yeah.
Yeah, we still put up points. It's just we couldn't stop them on defense. So you can't give them the ball back and just let them, power left, power right, and gain 7 yards a pop. Like, you're not going to win the game. So hats off to them, to Michigan. They whooped us. We didn't deserve to win that game. They did. So good on them. Harbaugh taking shots at us after he's lost his first 5. I don't know if that's really the time to be taking shots, but like,
Yeah, act like you've been there before, Mr.
it's not
Harbaugh.
even that. I mean, it's like, I mean, you beat us, so okay, like you can take a shot, but
Yeah,
like to act just like you're now dominating us after it's 1 out of 6. It's like,
yeah. I think it
okay,
was
well,
3 in the last 20 years, maybe
yeah,
something like
yeah,
that. I heard a
we've
stat.
it's our second loss in 16 years to them. So it's
Yeah,
like, yeah, like
just take
okay,
it,
dude.
just win and celebrate. Be happy about it. Yeah.
Yeah, just say, hey, I felt like we went out and kicked their butts, which they did. Like
Yeah.
I got no problem with saying that. Like you
No.
did kick our butts, so good job. But yeah, some of the comments he made. I mean, he's Harbaugh, so it's expected.
I think it just set up to be just a classic trap game, right? It just they had the win last week where they just annihilated Michigan State, right? Who beat Michigan? So none of this makes sense, right? Um, and but it sets you up to maybe give you a little false confidence. Did that score reflect how good Michigan State is last week? No, I don't think so. It just kind of got out of hand, and they kind of packed it in, right? Doesn't mean Ohio State's not good, right? We know they're good, but then you come down to matchups. I thought maybe that the Ohio State defense would have a better matchup because Michigan's not a throwing team, right? When we look at Ohio State's use of their weaknesses more in their secondary.
I think their secondary is bad. The issue is that I think the
Michigan running game.
secondary has been kind of hidden by the fact that because teams have to throw against us.
Yeah.
Right. Because we get ahead, so people have to throw. And so, I see the weaknesses in the secondary, like, oh, we blew that coverage. We blew that, and we still end up winning by 3 scores.
Yeah.
But you're looking at, okay, like against a good team, those are touchdowns or, the issue is that because teams are throwing, you don't see that, when games were close, we couldn't stop the run all season. We couldn't stop.
Well, and when you can run effectively, I feel like it sets up the pass even better, right? Yeah. You run play action. And when you have Haskins had 170 yards, 5 touchdowns, running the ball?
160 something, yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes throwing the ball that much easier. Which is I'm going to tie into a game in the NFL too that I thought was strangely managed by the team that lost, but it's just a trap game to me. They came in probably a little overconfident, maybe. Maybe they thought they were just going to walk over Michigan. Not that they ever really think that in a rivalry game, but you know what I'm saying. They came off a big win, blowing out Michigan State, who beat Michigan, right? And you think, hey, we got to be able to beat this team pretty easily. And then it didn't really work out.
Yeah.
But man, what a mess for the college football playoff now, where potentially if Michigan wins, they could play. They're ranked second now. They could play Cincinnati to go to the national title game. Talk about a nice setup for them, right?
Yeah, no, it sets up well for them. It's now I will say I don't know how well their game's going to translate to like an indoor setting, right? So, part of me wonders, of course, like as an Ohio State fan, you're going to wonder, like, okay, if we played that same Michigan team in Indianapolis, I think the game looks different, right? Because all of a sudden, our speed isn't, and our receivers aren't as negated by the weather, right? Now, again, they beat us. Like they beat us. Yeah. Those conditions were the same for everyone. They beat us, right? But is it a different game if it's an indoor setting, right? And I don't, that team sets up to play well in inclement weather, which unfortunately the way the bowls are set up and the way the championships are set up to not ever have that. They're set up to be indoor games.
Yeah.
That's always been like kind of the Big Ten's kind of knock on playing the SEC teams is that the SEC team, like the Big Ten has to play the end of their season in crappy weather, right? So you have to build your team at least somewhat to deal with that. The SEC teams don't, and they never play the bowl games up here, right? So that was always kind of
always in the South. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, all right, come play us in Columbus in November or in Ann Arbor in November and see what happens. Is it the same game? Maybe one team still wins no matter what, but it can have an effect.
Yeah, it definitely can. Weather's huge. I mean, you see it in the NFL all the time. Some teams don't transfer well into the late season, especially playing outside. In the playoffs,
Ohio State gets whooped. Bama escapes again.
Yeah, just win.
I mean,
they're like the Ravens. They
really
win.
Are.
Yeah,
they really are. Obviously, Cincy won on Friday. I think Cincy played Friday, so they won on Friday.
And they played a ranked team, right?
Yes, they played someone that was halfway decent. Yeah. So this is setting up for a very interesting potential. In some ways, if everyone wins that we expect to win this weekend, it should kind of clean itself up. The issue is
Yeah.
if there are upsets.
So here's my the only reason I really cared about the Michigan Ohio State game was because one of my good friends is a huge Michigan fan, and I
Okay.
just love making fun of him when they lose. So I wasn't able to do that this week, and I had to tip my cap to his team. Not that I like or dislike Michigan, I just enjoy getting him riled up.
Right. Right. Of
Yeah,
course.
yeah, I enjoy it way too much. So he's a big Michigan fan. So we were talking about it the other day. We're like, what happens now? Say Michigan goes, they play Iowa, I believe, right, in the Big Ten
They play
championship.
Iowa, which is to me is not a straightforward win for them.
No, that's what I said. I said, all right, so what if Michigan loses now? Right. So now no big teams in. Right, Big Ten's out. They're not going to put
Yeah. Yeah.
They're two lost teams. Iowa's got a couple losses now already. They're not going
You
to do it.
can't. So the issue. All right. So I've got the rankings up. So right now we've got Georgia 1.
Yeah,
This is the AP poll, but I would expect the college football poll to be similar. All right.
Michigan's
So
two, right?
Michigan's 2, Cincinnati's 3,
Cincinnati,
Bama's 4,
Bam,
Oklahoma State, who looked exciting, is 5.
and
So they
Notre Dame,
jump
right?
Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So if
Notre,
everyone wins out, basically you expect Georgia to win over Bama, right? So
yeah,
if so, Georgia's in. If Michigan wins the Big Ten, they're in. Cincy, if they win their conference title, they're in. I
they're
think.
in.
Were they, because they were in the top 4 last week? They should still be in the top 4.
Yeah,
Bama would be out, and then you put Oklahoma State in, assuming they beat Baylor,
yeah.
right, ahead of Notre Dame, because Notre Dame doesn't have a conference championship.
Now here's my scenario that we kind of were kicking around. Say Michigan loses, right?
So Michigan's out.
Say Georgia beats Bama on a last second field goal, right? Is Bama out now and is Oklahoma State in? Like there'll be
So I think
like does
so.
Notre Dame
If that happens, I think they go Notre Dame, Oklahoma State, Cincy, Georgia.
so Alabama's
I think
out.
Bama's out. I think Bama's out. So I think the argument there would be
So
yes, they lost.
Notre Dame's in, Bama's out.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think in that situation, because I think Notre Dame still has so much cachet and name value that although they say that doesn't matter, it clearly does.
Yeah.
Right. So you're still going to get a bunch of eyes.
Are they better than Notre Dame though? Or are they better than Alabama? Is my question. Head to head, who wins that game?
I would say you don't know. I honestly could see Notre Dame winning that game. I would say what you do know is that Bama didn't beat Georgia. Bama had its shot. Who's number 1? Right? So if the goal is truly to find the number 1 team, you know Georgia's better.
Correct.
Right? So I'd say Bama's out, right?
Here was my other question. Bama beats Georgia. Does Georgia stay in?
Yeah, Georgia stays in.
They have to, right?
Yeah, it's because they've dominated every team they played.
So it's Georgia. If Georgia loses, it's Georgia, Alabama, Michigan if they win, Cincinnati if they win.
Unless they decide to. The question I would say is, I think Michigan's in no matter if Michigan wins, Michigan's in.
Yeah, they're in 100%.
So I would say the big question there comes. Let's say Cincy wins their conference championship, but it's close, and Oklahoma State blows out Baylor.
Yeah. Then
will they jump Oklahoma State ahead of Cincy?
And Notre Dame can't gain anything, right? Because they don't have
Notre Dame, I think, is at this point is at the mercy of people losing ahead of them.
They need Michigan and Alabama to lose to have a chance.
Yes.
I mean, and Cincinnati, but Cincinnati beat them.
I would say it. I will say it depends this week on where the committee has Oklahoma State relative to Notre Dame. So AP has Oklahoma State ahead of Notre Dame. If the committee might have it the other way around, I don't think they should.
But that was a big win over Oklahoma, though. So
yeah, exactly. I don't think they should, but they might.
And then the fallout: Lane Kiffin, or not Lane Kiffin? Why am I saying Lane Kiffin?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Who's
The
the
guy that
coach
just
at,
USC job.
yeah, he's going to USC. Jeez. And Spencer Rattler has entered the portal, the transfer portal. So does he go to
Oh, did he?
USC? Does he go to USC with the coach? I can't think of his name, and it's going to drive me insane. Is it Kingsbury? Kingsbury?
I'm trying to look him up.
It's
Yeah.
King. No, wait. He went to.
Here, let's type in USC coach.
Why am I drawing a blank?
Lincoln Riley. There you go.
Riley, that's it. Kingsbury was the coach that went to Arizona. Something like that. Yeah, Lincoln Riley leaves to USC, and Spencer goes in the portal because he's now the backup. He was the Heisman favorite heading into the season. It's kind of that Jalen Hurts / Tua situation there. So yeah, what a wild weekend of college football.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, and it's crazy that it's so undecided still. That so much can still happen.
Yeah, this is a year where I would be like 6 teams playoff. Do it. I think it would be a good playoff, even though I think Georgia is the best team. I would still like to see all 6 of them teams battle it out and just see who wins. The top 6 right now: Notre Dame, Oklahoma State. I feel like they all have a stake to it, and I feel like Alabama is kind of being punished for having to play a conference championship for getting to the conference championship, right? But
Bama?
They did lose. So
I mean, they lost. I mean, yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, everyone has to play it now. I mean, there's other
like
than
Notre Dame doesn't
Notre
have
Dame.
To. Yeah.
But I mean, I think historically they've shown that they value the conference championship more than, because remember there was the year Big 12 before the year before the Big 12 had the conference championship, they got left out.
Yeah,
and then they were all mad because like I think that was the year Ohio State jumped because that might have been the year we beat Wisconsin like 59-0 in the BC in the conference championship.
But then you look at it, it's like
someone.
Who did Notre Dame play? They played Cincinnati and they got beat, right? And then they haven't played anybody. Right, and then you look who Alabama plays.
Which again, to their credit, they're playing teams that historically have been very good.
Yeah. I'm not saying they're scheduling, terrible opponents. It's just the way it worked out. It's interesting. That's all I'm saying. If they said 16 playoff go, I'd be like, cool. I would watch it, and I think it would be pretty good, right? Because I don't think Notre Dame deserves to be in the playoff. There, I said it.
Based
on their schedule.
I don't disagree.
But if Michigan loses and Bama loses, you're looking at a possible Notre Dame.
I mean, again, I think it's one of those things where you look at, you go, okay, well, I think the question is, what is the point of the playoff? If the point of the playoff is to find the absolute best team, right? And 2 teams have already played, and one of them is now in the top 4. The other team is either in the top 4 or outside the top 4, and they lost to that team. Well, then the team that lost is not the best team, right? So they should be out. Like, unless they lost like first game of the season or second game of the season, right? Now, granted, the Notre Dame lost to Cincy was pretty early on, but also, like you said, their schedule has just not been super conducive to demonstrating how good they are. It's hard to know how good they are. So.
No, it's a good discussion. I think it's a healthy discussion. It's a good thing though that we're at least seeing this. Like I like at least the 4 getting in. All
right, so we'll see what happens with that insanity with the conference championships this upcoming weekend. Let's head over to the NFL because another
wild
weekend in the NFL. Obviously, my Browns managed to force 4 turnovers. 4 interceptions, even better, and hold their opponent to 16 points and still lose, which is an impressive feat of your offense is an aptitude to score.
I wonder what the percentage is on that percentage of winning with 4 turnovers.
If you have 4 turnovers and only score 16 points, it's low.
Yeah, it's got to be. Low. It's got to be super low.
I mean, if a team was destined to have that happen and still lose, like being on the plus side of the turnovers, it would be the Browns. So I
it's
mean, that was a
definitely
frustrating game to watch.
the offense is anemic at this point.
I don't. We I was talking about it. So me and my brothers and my father were texting back and forth last night watching the game, and like, okay, so they're loading the box on first down against the run because obviously we have Chubb and Hunt was back last night. Okay, so you can't really run on first down. We did throw over the top a couple times, but they have one of the worst pass defenses in the league.
Yeah,
So why do we Higgins, one of our best receivers and probably the guy that Baker has the best sort of rapport with, was inactive. He was a healthy scratch. So we have literally no one on the team that can take the top off the defense playing last night. No one. I mean, Landry, I love Landry. Landry's a phenomenal receiver, but he's, short route guy, right?
yeah.
Crossing route guy. He's not a speedster.
He's a
Right?
Wes Welker type. He's a
Yeah,
slot guy.
exactly.
Yeah,
Schwartz, who was our third round pick, speed guy from Auburn. I guess he was out sick. So, okay, he's sick. But like Higgins, kind of can play that role. It's like we don't have him active. Like I don't understand. Now we did have a couple injuries during the game. One of our linemen went down again, and we lost one of our tight ends, which we like to run 3 tight end sets. So that obviously, that was the only. We only had 3 tight ends. So all of a sudden we're having like a wide receiver kind of play one of the tight end roles. So it didn't quite work. But it just, I don't understand. Like, and we've got 4 running backs active. Why do we have 4 running backs active? Right? Like,
yeah.
have another wide receiver.
You already lost Beckham, right? And then you're out the other guy. Yeah.
And just the timing on the offense just looks, between Baker and the receivers, just looks off. Like, and it's very difficult. He looked better last night than he looked the previous 2 weeks. But it's one of those things where you're asking yourself, like, okay, is it an injury issue? Right? We know he's beat up.
Yeah.
But is he missing guys because, he's not throwing the ball where he wants to? Or is he missing guys because they're not where he expects them to be? Right? And it's hard because it looks like a mix of both last night.
My dad always says that, like, he threw an interception. And it's like, well, he didn't really. The guy ran the wrong route, or it bounced off his head, or, right? It's just, it's not always the quarterback's fault, right? It stinks to be in that position, and you never know, like, because they don't really say, like, maybe the guy cut the wrong way, maybe he read the defense wrong on his break. There's a lot of things that go into it that people don't realize, and then maybe he had a guy in his face, maybe the line's not blocking. There's so many factors. Playing quarterback, it's a tough position for sure.
It is. So yeah, we'll see. We got a bye week, so I don't know. Like, I think we're out given how tight the AFC North is. Like, I think we're out of the playoff race at this point. But it was horrible to watch. That's for sure.
Yeah, I watched like 10 minutes of that game, and oof.
I hope you turned it off because that first half was brutal.
It was bad.
It was brutal.
3-0. I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah, it was brutal.
On a higher note, my Broncos did exactly what I said they would do. They won, even though I predicted them to lose. They beat the Chargers. Again, we don't know who the Chargers are anymore. I don't understand what's going on.
I think the Chargers are the Browns. I think the Chargers are the Browns.
Every week I think they're great, and then they come and they lose to the Broncos. I don't know.
Yeah,
Cowboys are doing the same thing right now. The Cowboys lost to the Raiders. They've not looked good the last few weeks. Some strange losses. The one I wanted to talk about for the team that was on the up and up was the Colts, right? So, and I mentioned it in the Michigan game, being able to run well, right, to throw, right? And last week, I mean, Jonathan Taylor had 5 touchdowns and like 100 or 200 total yards for the Colts. This week they come out. What do you think they did all the first half? They threw the ball like 30 times. He had 3 touchdowns and all his yards. And then all of a sudden, I feel like Tampa Bay started to shut it down. And then I think they tried to run the ball, which they were having success with, but it was kind of too late. And then they ended up losing. So it was a weird approach that game for the Colts, but they did lose. And Tampa Bay is still good, actually. So,
yeah, that was the game. I didn't watch all of it. I caught the end of it where I was basically watching them hand to Jonathan Taylor and him just like maul the Buccaneers defense for just 10, 15 yards at a time.
I'm like, why weren't they doing this in the first half, keeping Brady off the field and trying to play that way, right? Which is what you need to do to Tom Brady, because otherwise he scores 38 points and they lose.
Yeah, I mean, it also sounded again. I didn't watch it all, but based on what the announcer said, it sounded like the Colts got like a couple bad breaks that didn't help them. That
Yeah,
like one call didn't go their way, and then like that kind of like snowballed in some other stuff.
they had a fumble where they were going in to score, and he got sacked and strip sack
Yeah.
fumble, kind of reversed
So
by like 14 points. So another game though that they're right there, man. It's just some bad luck, and I think just a weird game plan, to be honest with you. Like you said, Taylor was going off in the second half. Yeah,
yeah, it reminds me of the Browns where it's like, okay, you've got. I mean, yeah, there's times where we have Chubb, who's arguably one of the top 5 backs in football. I don't think anyone's going to argue with that. It's like him,
no,
Taylor, Henry when he's healthy, right?
healthy,
Maybe
yeah,
like one or two others.
yeah,
And it's like we in the third quarter, I don't think he touched the ball until like there was like 2 minutes left in the third quarter. That was the
yeah,
first time he touched it in the second half. I'm like, what? He's your best player. Like I know they're loading the box up against the run, but like you still have to get him the ball.
yeah.
And I know they like to alternate series. Like they'll have, Chubb play mostly one series and then they'll have Hunt play a series, which is like, okay. But, and I like that to a point, like especially the first half I get because you keep both guys fresh. But if you have a guy that's rolling in the second half, like just ride him.
Yeah, go with the hot hand.
Yeah. So it's, I don't, some of the play calling was frustrating. The Bengals blew out the Steelers. I don't, again, this is like the Browns blow out the Bengals and lost to the Steelers, and yet the Bengals blow out the Steelers. So
Yeah.
how did the Browns blow out the Bengals who blew out the Steelers, and yet the Browns lost to the Steelers?
It sounds like the
It's
Big
so
Ten.
confusing.
It's like the
Yeah,
Big
it's so
Ten. Yeah,
confusing.
that's wild. Um, yeah, it's a crazy division this year. I still like watching the Bengals. I like Burrow. I like the guy.
Burrow's good.
I
He's
root
really
for that
good.
guy. Yeah, especially
Yeah,
after what happened last year.
he's really good.
Um,
Bills had a lot of came back, bounced back as we expected. I think the Saints are toast.
yeah, I don't think they're very good. The
Nope.
Eagles, big loss to the Giants. A lot of mad friends this weekend.
Oh
Jalen
goodness.
Rieger dropped 2 balls that hit him. One hit him in the head, and the other one hit him in the hands. That could actually
I
won the
saw the
game.
one where he was like at the goal line and jumped up and it just like went right through his hands.
It's like it's right there. Remember that guy got picked in front of Jefferson on the Vikings. Never forget
Oh,
that.
there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Eagles fans, don't forget that. It said the
Uh,
Cowboys lost.
yeah, that was surprising.
What was the other
That
game?
game was awful because there's so many penalties. Like I don't know what the referees were doing.
There was like 30 penalties in there. And then what was
They're
the game
14
before
per
that?
side. It was 20 penalties.
Yeah. The Detroit Lions lost.
Detroit lost again,
Another close
despite
one.
this. Yeah, yet another close game.
Yeah. You
That's all they
almost
play.
gotta
Close games and find ways to lose.
you gotta feel bad for them. And then the shootout, the Rams and the Packers, could be a preview maybe of some playoff football there. Aaron Rodgers is still just better than everyone else, and Devontae Adams is still
He
just
throws balls that are just unbelievable.
it is. I mean, I know like everyone calls Brady the GOAT, right, and all that. Like, yeah, success wise, he's just the best, right? He has to be because he's got 38 Super Bowls and all the yards. But man, I just physically watching Rodgers throw the ball.
It looks so effortless
Yeah,
when he
it is.
throws it. Like he looks like he flips his wrist and it's a perfect spiral 60, 40 yards downfield. You're like, how did he throw that?
Yeah, and I'm like, if he
That
was
pinball
on the
machine.
Patriots for 20 years, would he have won 12 Super Bowls? Like, I don't know. You know what I
Probably.
mean? Like,
Probably.
and I'm not saying it's a system thing, right? But there were definitely some great teams with the Patriots. And Brady just does some amazing things too. But man, the way he just flipped, like you said, it's just like an effortless throw. And I mean, Adams is just that much better than everyone else too at this point. They're really good.
So here's a question: how good are the Rams?
I don't know.
So they started 7-1. They've lost their last 3.
Yeah, I don't know if they're like, a weird transition right now with some injuries, and then you pick up a guy like Beckham, and maybe it's just and it is the NFL, right? I don't expect teams to go undefeated. I don't expect them to lose 3 in a row though, like a good quality Super Bowl
Good
type
team
contender.
shouldn't lose 3 in a
Yeah.
row.
So It's this year. Who the heck knows at this point? I think they have tons of talent, right? That's not a. I mean, they just got Von Miller. Like, they they keep picking up all these all stars and or Pro Bowlers, if you will, and yeah, and they've lost three games in a row. So I don't know. I want to say they're a top five team, but they're not. They haven't been playing like that. So, and then Tennessee, they've lost a couple in a row now too. So it's getting crazy again. We thought we knew, and now we don't again.
There you go. All right, let's do some picks. Let's
Yeah.
see here. Let's pick some of the conference championships for this weekend for college football. We'll do the main ones because why not? All right, so let's. I'm in the wrong week here. Go to it next week, week 14. All right, here we go. All right, let's do the 8. Well, it doesn't matter, but we'll do the Pac 10 or Pac 12, whatever it is now. Number 11 Oregon against number 19 Utah.
I like Utah. Didn't they already
I'll
play
take.
them?
They might have.
Or was that Utah State that beat them?
I don't remember.
Who blew out the Ducks?
It was Utah.
It was
Yeah,
Utah.
so same team. Yeah.
So a rematch.
The rematch. This is a rematch. Good catch. I did not realize that. Yeah, I'm gonna go with you then. Utah. Even though somehow Utah's ranked behind Oregon despite beating them by
38
a
to
lot.
38 to 7. They beat them.
Yeah.
Interesting.
All right, we'll go Utah. I'll go with you. Utah wins again. All right, Oklahoma State number 7 goes against Baylor number 8. I think Oklahoma State rides the momentum of this weekend, and they've already beaten Baylor. This is another rematch. They beat Baylor once before. I think they win again. Give me Oklahoma State and making it a very problematic choice for the committee.
Okay, how many losses does Baylor have?
I think they might only have 1. No, they have 2.
They do.
So this is the thing. If Baylor wins, the Big 12's out for sure.
They're out. So I want Oklahoma State to win because I want it to be messy. So let's go. Let's go with Oklahoma State.
All right. So Oklahoma State. We both picking Oklahoma State here. All right. Let's get here. Let's see. Georgia against Bama. I can't not take Georgia here, given how Bama's playing and how Georgia's playing. Somehow this will be one of those games that the ESPN and CBS will hype up all week long, and it'll end up being a 9-3 game. It'll be awful to watch. But I'm taking Georgia.
I am picking Alabama just because. I don't think they're a better team, but I got to pick one upset, and I'm going with Bama.
Cincy takes on Houston, who's number 24. Give me Cincy. I think they win out.
Yeah, I think they're a tough team.
And that's in Cincinnati, actually. So, yeah, they got home field for a chance at the playoff, yeah. Michigan against Iowa in Lucas Oil. I guess this is the other big one. Iowa is 10-2. They lost 2 games in a row to Wisconsin and Purdue.
And they still made the playoff. Or they still made the Big Ten championship.
They still made the Big Ten Conference championship because they're in the West, which stinks.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I'm going upset there again. I think they win. They're coming off two losses. I think Michigan's it's a trap game for Michigan now.
It is I hate to say it. I think Michigan wins because, Iowa lost to Purdue and Wisconsin, 2 teams that Wisconsin especially tends to run the ball.
Yeah.
They lost kind of badly to them. So because Michigan likes to run the ball, I'm going to take, as much as it pains me, Michigan here.
In your Ohio State shirt.
Oh, I know. I don't feel good about it. That's for sure. All right. NFL. Let's go to next week here. So we are in week 13 this coming week. Oh, man.
Season's flying by.
All right. Let's see here. Week 13. All right. Our Thursday night game. Dallas at New Orleans. Both are coming off losses. I really think New Orleans is done. I think Dallas kind of got hosed by the officials. So give me Dallas.
Yeah, Dallas will win here easily.
Tampa Bay at Atlanta. Tampa Bay.
Easily again. Yeah.
Arizona at Chicago. I assume Murray's going to be back. Did he play this weekend? I don't even know if he played.
They were off by week, so I think he's back. He should be back.
All right, so he should be back. All right, give me Zona if he's back. If he's
Agreed.
not back, I pick Chicago. But if he's back, Arizona.
If he's back, I'm sticking with Colt McCoy. I'm saying they win.
There you go. I like Colt. Los Angeles Chargers at Cincy. I think the Chargers are kind of lost. I think Cincinnati's really found its footing. Give me Cincy at home.
Yeah. Chargers don't want to play in that weather.
Yeah. Minnesota at Detroit. I mean, got to take Minnesota.
Yeah, the streak continues for the Lions.
The streak continues. New York Giants at the Miami Dolphins. God, I feel like this might be a game where Miami actually plays well.
They actually have been playing well.
They've won their last 4.
Yeah.
Give me Miami. I'll take Miami at home here.
Yeah, 2 hot teams here. I'm going Miami though.
Oh, here we go. This is a toilet bowl. Philadelphia Eagles at New York Jets.
Oof.
I guess Philadelphia.
Yeah, I mean it's a winnable game for Philly for sure.
Yeah, I'm going to take Philly. Indianapolis at Houston, division game. Give me Indy. They have to win this game.
Colts win that.
Washington football team at the Las Vegas Raiders.
I'm going Raiders. Raiders look good last week.
My gut says Raiders, so I'm going to go Raiders. Jacksonville Jaguars at the Los Angeles Rams. I think Rams get right here. Jacksonville has to travel across the country.
Yeah, that should be a slam dunk for the Rams.
Baltimore at Pittsburgh. I mean, I don't think either team played well this weekend.
You got to kind of pick the Ravens at this point, right?
Yeah, I mean, you have to. I mean, they're coming off a win. It was ugly, and Jamal did not play well. He played well enough, right? He had like 2 passes that'll make every highlight reel, but he overall did not really play that well. All right, yeah, both with Baltimore there. San Fran at Seattle. Give me San Fran. I keep not picking them, but they keep winning. So
yeah, I feel like they're almost a playoff team at this point. So
yeah, and Seattle
looks terrible.
Seattle's toast. Yeah.
Yeah.
Denver at Kansas City. I mean, it's got to be Kansas City, right?
By 30. Definitely.
Kansas City seems to have found its mojo.
Denver is set up for a big loss this week.
Our Monday night game could be good. New England at Buffalo. But the question is which Buffalo shows up? Good Buffalo or bad Buffalo?
New England is one of the hottest teams in the league right now.
They're playing really well.
Yeah.
And Buffalo, up until this week, was playing pretty terribly.
Yeah, definitely Jekyll and Hyde type scenario with them. I'm going with New England. I'm going with consistency.
I'm gonna take the hot and cold. I'll take Buffalo because it's in Buffalo. I think if it's in New England, I think New England romps. But I think the Bills put it together. But honestly, I can see it being a blowout either way. To be perfectly honest. That's it. Our buys for next week are Cleveland, Green Bay, Tennessee, and Carolina are all on buys next week. All right. Kenny, thanks for coming on, as always.
My pleasure.
All right, peeps. Go like, subscribe, all that fun stuff below. We will see you next week for more shenanigans. Peace out.
See you.